What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about London's new Elizabeth line. Now, by new, I mean at least 6 months old, because I checked when this video was created, and it was made 6 months ago. So, Elizabeth line, well, it's new to me, at least, because I don't know what it is. I've been hearing about it through various video recommendations, and sounds very interesting. I'm a bit familiar at this point with the London Tube, or London Underground, as a transport system around London, but I don't know what this Elizabeth line is, and apparently it's very long in the making, useful, and relatively recent. I think at least in the past year. So I thought this would be a nice little video to get me up to speed on this remarkable feat of engineering or whatever we have here, and just sounded interesting. So let's take a look.
It's taken 13 years and more than $20 billion, but on May 24th, 2022, Crossrail finally opened to the public.
13 years. I mean, it's remarkable they can even build these underground transport systems. I feel like we take it for granted. It's like giant structures underground, moving tons and tons and thousands of pounds of steel on wheels. Anyway, I don't want to get I don't want to get too philosophical about it, but he's referring to it, the narrator, as the London Crossing. Is that another name for it, or is the Elizabeth line part of the London Crossing? Or I feel like I'm getting my terms wrong.
May 24th, 2022, Crossrail finally opened to the
Crossrail. Crossrail. Okay.
public. It's the culmination of a dream first sketched out in the 1940s, a major new east to west railway running through London. It's one of the biggest and toughest infrastructure projects ever undertaken in modern Europe, and it's also one of the most attention-grabbing.
Oh, wow. Hold on. Back it up. Back it up. Oh, not that far, though. That is awesome, how it, goes under... Literally, I've never seen, you can see where it goes underground. How long is this thing? I don't think they said specifically how long it is yet. This is just amazing.
The biggest and toughest infrastructure projects ever undertaken in modern Europe, and it's also one of the most attention-grabbing.
Elizabeth line officially opens in London.
Crossrail connects two major railway lines that feed into London, but until now couldn't cross it. The Great Eastern Main Line runs through to Norwich in East Anglia.
Okay, I am not super familiar with English geography, I will say, so I'm going to listen to that one more time about what a crossrail is, because I feel like it's important for the premise of this video.
Now couldn't cross it. Connects two major...
Oh, a little more.
Crossrail connects two major railway lines that feed into London.
Crossrail connects two lines that go into London. Okay.
But until now couldn't cross it.
But until now couldn't cross it. I'm not sure what that means exactly. Until now, what couldn't cross it? What is it?
The Great Eastern Main Line runs through to Norwich in East Anglia, while the Great Western runs out to Bristol in southwest England.
Okay, wow. These things are amazing. I feel like the United States does not take advantage of things like this. Sure, we have underground transport systems within cities, but not stretching out in between cities. That would essentially be a train.
Now, Crossrail won't run all the way along that route, but will join Reading, a town 40 miles west of London, and Shenfield, 35 miles northeast, to the city's vast transit network.
Okay, so basically, even if I don't understand it perfectly, it's connecting a lot of different towns and cities that are outside of London together. So basically, it's just like providing an opportunity for lots of people living outside of London to have this interconnected transport system to get everywhere. That's pretty darn good.
In order to make that happen, 8 tunnel boring machines took the better part of a decade to dig out 26 miles of new tunnels.
I didn't know what I expected this thing to look like, but this is like not scary, but it's a giant mechanical worm with a spinning blade at the front that takes 10 years to slowly tunnel under the ground. How far did it go? Oh my.
Under the city. These 1,000-ton behemoths extracted 7 million tons of material from out of the ground while snaking and weaving their way around London's existing maze of underground lines.
What? I mean, just think about it. These things were burrowing under the earth beneath everyone in London for years, right under everybody.
After all, the city is already full of tunnels, and there are some places where the new tunnels pass the existing lines by just 6 feet.
What?
Of course, the story of London's tunnels could fill an hour-long video by itself, and the story
You know, I don't think I really appreciated just how many tunnels are in London. I didn't know it was like this.
of its railways probably another 100, but don't worry, I'm only going to take 4 or 5 hours to explain how. And the very first lines were dug as trenches in the ground that then had a roof and buildings built over the top. But that only worked where there wasn't already serious development in place.
Wow, they were building this back in the day. I'd be a little scared. Just, the structural integrity, as you might say.
Many of the deeper lines were hand dug out of London's hard clay soil, which is where the London Underground got its nickname of the Tube. These small round tunnels measure just 11.5 feet in diameter, and so were already stretched to capacity years ago.
Wow.
It means that London's existing transit infrastructure simply wasn't built for.
You know, if you don't live in London, I gotta say, or in like a major city, and I don't, this stuff is pretty amazing.
It means that London's.
Like this in particular, like it's just a tunnel under the ground, but it looks like sort of unreal to me. Unless you like drove in this thing every day, day after day, and you're like, yeah, it's a tunnel, man. Calm down. I wouldn't blame you, but this is good stuff.
Existing transit infrastructure simply wasn't built for, if projections are to be believed, a city of 10 million people. That's why Crossrail was eventually greenlit.
Oh, so okay. The population of London has increased, and the old underground and tunneling system is kind of out of date, which is why they came up with this idea for the last 13 years. Got it.
Both as a way of bringing many more places to within a half-hour's train ride of central London,
Wow.
and to dramatically increase the city's overall transit capacity,
Okay.
especially on those deep-cut lines snaking through the densest parts of the capital that can't be expanded in any other way.
Okay, so it's also like relieving some of the pressure from the busiest parts of London, the most used railway systems is like getting relief because of this expansion?
This might be an underground electric railway that runs beneath the city, and you might even see it featuring on the Tube map. But you'll get an army of pedants correcting you if you call it a subway. That's because this whole project isn't a subway, but
Oh, I was gonna say, in the United States, we would definitely call this a subway. It's just like underground train, railway. I don't know. It's kind of all the same to us.
a mainline railway that just happens to operate underground for the middle part of its route.
A mainline railway that happens to be underground for part of its route. So for a lot of this, it's above ground. Maybe outside of London, that would make a lot more sense.
The 26 miles of new tunnels are closer to 20 feet wide, which means there's room for a full-size train going underground. Those big wide tunnels also mean that for the first time in London, you can get an emergency walkway for passengers to use should something go awry whilst the train is in a tunnel.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, at least 20 miles of tunnels have been created. And bigger and better.
It's this mainline to subway transformation that has caused so much of the delays, since much of the hard engineering work was completed several years ago. Instead, it was the problem of somehow integrating this brand new railway into the Victorian era railways on either end of the network.
Oh, okay. That's why it's taking forever. Well, apparently this thing is out and working right now. So it took forever, but it's done.
When Britain's railways were privatised in the 90s, the national network was sold off into chunks that were operated by individual franchisees. That meant, broadly speaking, there was little to no desire in investing in updated and expensive critical safety infrastructure. Consequently, Crossrail's leaders had to find a way of making a mainline train work on a 30-plus years old signalling system. Not to mention that when the trains go into the tunnels under London, they do kind of transform into a metro service.
Yeah, okay. So I was kinda... There's a couple reasons here why working with a tunnel system that was built a long time ago is difficult to work with.
Which requires a wholly different set of signalling systems and software platforms, all of which had to be integrated into this one seamless whole. Of course, COVID-19 didn't help matters, which meant that Crossrail sailed well past its original launch date of 2018. But while it's turned up several years late, the line, now rechristened as the Elizabeth Line, looks to offer a dramatic improvement for London and
Oh, so it was called Crossrail and then renamed Elizabeth Line. I was like, what is the difference? Are they the same thing? They're the same thing. Different name. Okay. Thank you, narrator.
the Greater South West's transit options. Work on finishing the system is going to continue for much of the rest of this year, but when it's finally completed, it'll be the sort of place where, let's be honest, we're all train nerds these days. A train nerd looking at what the railway of the future is going to be like.
Oh yeah, I mean, this seems incredible. Like the most cutting edge tunneling railway technology.
Now, if you enjoyed this, please read my lengthy feature on Crossrail's birth over at Engadget.com, where you'll also find all of the most exciting science and technology news worth reading about.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, it would be interesting actually to learn about how this whole project got like greenlit and if the people of London like were demanding it or if the government funded it or what. Well, I'm sure they did. Anyway, this was good. This was like a perfect little brief explanation for a simple American like me who has next to zero concept of railway, London Tube, stuff, Elizabeth Line. This actually made everything quite clear. Very nice. This was by Engadget, and I liked it. I liked it quite a bit. Any interesting comments here? Thank you. I worked on this since 2018. Huh. Kudos. What else we got? Outstanding display of technology. Yes, indeed. Hope to use it soon. Looks amazing. Yeah. I mean, that'd be an experience for me. This is just a mode of transportation for most people living in London. Just something that's necessary. But for a lot of tourists, this would be like an event in and of itself, like something cool to do. Ride the Elizabeth Line. I like it. Very cool. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video as well, feel free to give it a like or leave a comment. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to the UK, things in the UK, stuff that I've never seen before, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.